with Joe today.
Yes, hello.
Joe, our expert modeler analyst that works with us in the company. I'm glad you're here.
Yes,
We're going to talk today a bit about when is Data Vault not the best option. Clearly, Data Vault's a method for building a data warehouse. I think it's very, very similar to medallion method and so on. And in fact, you could almost ask the question, first of all, when is a data warehouse not the best option for an organization? And then once you've chosen to go down the sort of data warehouse route, in that space, when's it best to go for Data Vault or when not to go for Data Vault?
I think that actually might be a good place to start, actually.
Yeah.
When would I say, I come to you and I say, okay, do I need a data warehouse? What would you be looking for in my data, my company? Okay.
Well, I think there's a couple of things in there. The first thing is how complex, how mature is your organization? So if you're a fairly young organization or you're very clean in the way you handle data, then it's quite easy for data engineers to get into your core systems, drag data out using pipelines and get that up to your end users. But if you've been around for a while as a company, then I'm sure you'll all be fairly familiar with this, but you have an issue with lots of source systems.
Yes.
So we've got clients that have got 3, 4, 5 general ledgers running. We've got 5 implementations of Salesforce.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, and although it's the same application underneath it all, it's all used in slightly different ways, and certain tables are used for different purposes. And then you roll on top of that websites, SEO tools, you name it, and suddenly you get this complexity. And within an organisation, you get fiefdoms building up around these source systems because they use them to deliver their part of the business.
Yes.
And then you're coming in as an sort of analytics side of things, and you're saying, right, now, how do I get data out of this rather complicated plethora of systems into a coherent view? So, for example, go to an insurance business. A lot of insurance businesses have grown through acquisition. And I've been in many of these, and you see 6, 7 policy management systems, 6 or 7 claims management systems at work. And then you ask management the simple question, which is how many policies have you got? How many claims have you got running? And someone has to run around with a spreadsheet, getting information from here and there and everywhere to build up this coherent, consistent central view. So in those circumstances, it's that drawing data in and working with multiple teams, which is the issue. And you're better off, for architectural simplicity, sort of declaring, here's our reporting truth area, the warehouse. We're going to fill that up with source data and then build the analytics off that sideways. And that's when you need a warehouse, is when you've got enough complexity in your systems and structures to require sort of separation between operational and reporting side.
You need to unsilo all the data. You need to bring it all back together so people can actually go, okay, we actually now do have a single source of truth. Wow.
Well, it's not just that, but the whole analytics project just dies because you're dealing with so many different stakeholders, all with changing their systems around and all the rest of it, that it's just impossible.
People can get fed up.
Well, it's like herding cats. So then that's why you need a warehouse. Then the second question is, well, why Data Vault? When's it best not to use a Data Vault in there? And I think looking at our experience out there, I think there's a number of circumstances where possibly a Data Vault's not the best option. And I think the first one is where, first of all, let's stress this by saying you can use Data Vault in most circumstances, but when I've looked at it and said, was it worth the effort? I've sometimes said, no, not necessarily so.
When is it really pushing the boat out?
That's right. So I think the first one is when you've got one huge event stream. So imagine you've got Internet of Things device running, or some transactional system running, and it's generating hundreds of millions of records in there. But the thing about it is that the records being generated have very little structure. I mean, they've got a time series, so everything's time stamped all the way through. But you can't connect that stream to many hubs, many concepts.
Yeah.
So it might be you might have a sensor running at a location, but then there's nothing else in there to categorize that stream by.
All it's telling you there was a lot of activity at this one place, but that tells you literally nothing.
That's right. So what Data Vault says is you'd load that as a stream, you'd load that as what's called a non-hysterized link or non-hysterized satellite.
Yes.
And it would link probably to a device,
Mm-hmm.
and then that device would then have some structure attached to it. So maybe it's at a location, maybe it's of a particular type, maybe it's
Deals with particular people, perhaps.
maybe, I don't know. But the point about that is that the semantic picture of that is very poor. I have a device, it has some measurements, the device is at a place.
That tells me nothing.
Doesn't really tell you very much. And then what you're doing is you're bringing this big stream of data in, you're spreading it across a few tables to bring the concepts out,
Yes.
and then to analyze it, you're reconstructing it again and running against the big file of 100 million or a billion records.
Yes.
It's much better to store it as one big table,
Mm.
I think. On the other hand, if you have this as one big table and you put some analytics on top of it, you could take the analytics into a data vault,
Yes.
because that adds more richer picture to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the base case itself is maybe not
It's an
necessarily a
interesting
good
way of
match.
I hadn't thought about doing it that way.
So that's the first thing. I think the other thing is, as an organisation, you need to have something to integrate. So it's like a continuation of what I've just said there. You have a stream, which is fine, but what are you trying to integrate? So do you have multiple source systems? Have you got different organisational units with separate data? Are you trying to build a bigger picture of your organisation than just one system itself provides?
Multiple sources, you've had acquisitions, for example.
Acquisitions, well, I mean, got a couple of examples recently where we're looking at HR data, timesheet data coming in.
Yes.
And yes, I can build a nice little picture in HR,
Mm-hmm.
but I can get those reports out of the HR system itself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important, if you then think about it, HR then links across to other parts of the business where
Yep.
you're delivering your services or your
Correct.
operations. Being able to link those together suddenly gives you a use case.
That's the value.
That's
say,
the value.
all the people that I employ, what are they actually doing?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, sad to say, I think if your organisation, it depends how your organisation views data. If you think of data, it's just a table with columns and data items in it,
an Excel spreadsheet.
or that's not even that. It's just a table of data,
Yes.
or it's a semantic meaning. So I have customer information, I have supplier information, I've got order information, and I can label them as such, and I deal with them at that level rather than thinking about them mechanically underneath.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're in a better position for a data vault, because data vault works at conceptual.
Yes.
Well, it often works at the conceptual level. So if you're very technically focused, you don't like modelling, you don't like various things like that, you just want tables of data to be pushed around, then you might not feel data vault's right for you culturally for what it's trying to achieve. And then I think the last thing is it's kind of related to that. How semantic do you want to get? How conceptual do you want to get in the handling of your data? Now, by conceptual, I don't mean superbly abstract. I mean removing the physical nature of tables and thinking about it as a customer data set or as an order data set.
Don't think about the keys. Think about the vague payload of that data. You don't think about the actual columns themselves.
I think keys are important.
Well, I don't know. If you're thinking about it from a conceptual point of view, you may not need to worry about the exact keys yet. You just think about, this data. I'm not caring about the relationships to everything else right now. If you want to go, this is my customer data. In my customer data, I expect to see some names, some addresses, or whatever. You're not thinking about your customer ID. At least I wouldn't when I'm modelling things out. Not immediately. That comes when I'm doing more logical steps.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, you're right. Early on, for sure. But I think pretty soon you start to get into the nitty gritty of how your business, how the data flows across your business,
Yes.
and that's when the keys start to come in. It's surprising how many organisations can't integrate by a common key across systems. They have customer data here and customer data there, and they're not captured in a way that makes it easy to join the data sets together. But,
Same as.
well, that's right. So anyway, so I think just to summarise there, you know, you need to be you need to have this kind of data which is richer than just a single list of stuff.
Yes.
You need to have probably more than one source system, so you need to have data that's worth integrating, and you need to also, as an organisation, sort of value the more modelling, conceptual understanding of the data rather than just treat it as a technical source.
If you think every table is a hub, then it's not for you.
No. Okay. That's true. All right. So I think we're running out of time. So we'll say thank you very much, everyone, for being with us today. It's been Neil Strange and Joe here, and busy working, talking about data Vault being the best option, when to use it, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.